Hello, in this tutorial I'm going to show you how I use Lightroom to turn these images into this image. Hello, I'm Mark Newton from the School of Photography, and you can find us at theschoolofphotography.com, where we deliver the best in photography education. In this video, I'm going to show you how I use Lightroom to turn these images into this image. Let's jump straight into Lightroom.
So here we are in Lightroom, and this is the final picture. This is what I've created, and I've created this picture from these three images here. We're in the Develop tab. I'm just going to hide this so that we can have a bigger screen. And I just want to explain to you about these pictures here first of all. So these are three long exposure pictures, and this one here has been overexposed. This one here is a middle exposure, and this one here has been underexposed. And I did that so that I could create a HDR image. Now before we go into that HDR I want to show you, I have a preset on these pictures as I import them, and I want to show you what I do to each picture before I turn them into a HDR image. So here you can see I've just increased the saturation slightly. I put in a slight curve, a very slight S curve there, and the sharpening I put the amount to 80, the radius to 1.2, and that is found under detail. And then under lens corrections here, I tick the remove chromatic aberration option there, and I do that on every one of these images before I turn them into a HDR. Okay, now I'm going to merge the three images into a HDR image, and you do that so that you can get more tones and color in each of the pixels. What you do is you select by holding down the Control or Command key, and you click on the three images that you want, which are these three here. You right click, you go to Photo Merge, and you select HDR. Then this box comes up. Now I personally never touch any of these things here. I've got another tutorial on creating a HDR image in Lightroom, and I'll put a link to it up here, and in that tutorial I go into much more detail about HDRing. But for now I'm just going to click merge, and at the end of my thumbnails here it's created a HDR image for you, and you can see there that this is called image number dash HDR, so you know that that is the HDR version of these three here. Okay, now the first thing I do is I go down to camera calibration here, and for this shot I'm going to select camera landscape because it's a landscape shot. Then I'm going to go up to the basic settings up here under basic, and I'm going to change these sliders here. So firstly I'm going to bring the highlights down round about there, then I'm going to bring up the shadows to round about 80 odd about there. I'm going to add in some whites just to slightly bring up the bright bits, and I'm going to pull down some black slightly until I like it around about there. Then in the present section under here I'm going to bring in some color, and this is where a HDR image really helps you out because you've got so much detail in here that you can really push the color. So let's increase the saturation just slightly, maybe up to about 20ish like that, and then it's the vibrance that you want. Now just quickly, the saturation will saturate the whole image. It will saturate everything, every pixel within that image. The vibrance will pick up on these muted areas and pump the colour up in just them areas, and that for this picture will really suit it. So that's why I'm going to push this vibrance up a little bit further, maybe to around about there, and I'm going to add a bit of clarity as well like that. Now that looks really nice so far. Then I'm going to go down and I'm going to add a very slight S shape curve, and that will just bring in a little bit of contrast. Now I always recommend that you put an S-curve into any of your images. If you want to know more about curves, I've got a tutorial for that. I'll put a link to it here for you as well. But already, if I toggle that off and toggle it on again, off, on, you can see that just that slight S-curve has really enhanced the contrast of the shot. The next thing I'm going to do is change the colours, and I'm going to select certain colours in this image and boost them up. Now firstly, you can see that it is mainly blue, so let's choose the blue colour and let's push the blues up round about there. I think, yeah, that looks quite good. The next colour that you can see in here is this here. It's aqua, because it's the sea. So let's choose aqua and let's see what happens if I pump them colours up. Now it's a very slight difference. If I desaturate it, just look round about in this area here. If I really push it, you can see it's just a slight difference there, but it's them slight differences that really make your shot good from being just normal. So let's put that to around about there. Then I'm looking at this picture, and normally I would really like oranges and I would normally push the oranges up high, but for this shot, this is a picture of an old sea defence in the River Thames, and I don't want this to be vibrant. I want it to be muted. So I'm going to select the oranges and I'm going to pull them out. And as you can see, that's making them, this sea defence thing here, it's making it a bit more desaturated. And I think that that actually gives a much better feel to the shot. So I'm going to leave it there like that. And then I'm going to see if we can sharpen it a bit more. So let's go down under detail, and you've got your sharpening here. And if I just click on the screen, it's going to zoom in. So let's pick this area over here. Now it's actually not bad as it is, but I might just increase it a little bit. So let's put, oh, and by the way, as you can see, it's already got 80 and 1.2 already in here, and that is because these three images had that setting. So as you merge them three images into a HDR image, it keeps the same settings that them three images have got. So that's why this has already got that sharpening added to it. But let's see if I can increase it a little bit more. Let's go up just slightly more like that, and I can see slight noise coming out here, so I'm gonna increase the luminance again very slightly. I don't ever like doing it too much because it can go too soft. But let's have a look at the difference between in that. So toggle off and toggle on, and you can see a slight difference there. Toggle off, toggle on. Yeah, so we're going to keep them settings like that. Let's zoom back out again, and again, just so that you know, because I had the remove chromatic aberration ticked on the three images before I merged them, it's kept it for me in the HDR image as well. So that's already ticked, and I'm going to leave that ticked as well. Okay, now I'm looking at this image, and what I can see is the bottom half of the picture is a lot darker than the top half of the picture, probably by around about 1 stop. So this bottom half is about 1 stop darker than the top half, and I'm going to balance that out using the graduation filter, which is this tool at the top here. So you can click on that, and then I'm going to click and drag from the bottom up to around about halfway like that. I can then hover the mouse over the middle line, and I can twist it to how I want, but I actually want it dead straight like that. If I hold my cursor over that circle, it brings up this red mask, and that shows you how it's graduating up from the bottom to the middle of the picture. So that is not bad at all, and you can see over here that it's already on +1 stop. So I can go right the way up there, or I can even go right the way down there, but I want it at +1, so I'm going to leave it there, and that is fine. Let's toggle on and off. That's without it, and that's with it, and you can see that gives a much more balanced exposure. So once you're happy with that, you click the done button at the bottom here. So I'm happy with that now. And then I'm going to take out some spots using the spot removal tool. So let's just click on the screen again. I can see one up here. If I click on the screen, it will zoom into it for me. And the spot removal tool is this one here. I can just click on that. Here's your settings here. I normally have the opacity to around about 90, and you can change the feather to suit, but I've already set it to roughly halfway. And then with your mouse, you can scroll down and scroll up, and that'll make it bigger and smaller. And then I'm just going to go over the spot, click my button, and then it goes away. Now I've got one there, I've got one there. If I hold down the space bar and move around, I've also got one here, one here. Now what you really need to do is go around this whole picture. You can see them all here. Now that's probably to do with my sensor of my camera, which I have had clean since this picture, but it wasn't clean at the time. So let's have a quick look. I don't like this down here, so I am going to use the spot removal tool to get rid of this spot here. So let's enlarge that and click over the top, and that gets rid of it there nicely. Actually, it mixes in now with the rest of the picture. Now I'm not going to go through it all now because it will take a long time, but you would go in to the whole picture and spot everything out that you wanted to. But for now, that's fine. I'm just going to click the done down the bottom here. So now I'm going to crop the image. Click the crop tool at the top. I'm going to bring it in from the top corner here. So just to quickly explain about the crop, I like the 3/2 ratio. If you look at any of my pictures, they're pretty much all with the 3/2 ratio, which is your standard ratio from your camera. But you can change that by clicking the lock off, and if you click the lock off, you can change it to whatever you want to. But I'm going to keep the ratio the same with the lock on, and then all I do is drag that down to roughly where I want it, and I think roughly about there is great. Let's click that again. Let's try and get the horizon line absolutely dead straight. So again, click the crop tool, click on angle, and then on the horizon line, click and drag to the end of your horizon line like that, release, and it will straighten it up for you. I love to have a straight horizon line. So that's that. Click the crop tool again at the top, and that finishes the crop off for you. And then I think I'll add a little vignette. So for that, we go down to under effects here, and you've got post crop vignette in here, and here's your amount, and you can go as mad as you want there, or you can go that way if you want to. It's already got a vignette naturally from the lens that I was using, but I'm just going to bring it down very slightly, just probably, yeah, that, just like that, just a real slight vignette. Let's toggle off and on very slightly, yeah, and that'll do for me like that. And that is it. I quite like it. Let's look at the before and after. So I'll click this button down the bottom here. There's the before and after. Let's click it again. That's the before and after again, and again, and again. And there's the final piece.
And that's how I use Lightroom to create that image. The fact is that each image will require a different process, and that's why I'll be uploading more of these types of videos to show you how different images require different post-processing techniques. If you like this and you want to learn more, like the video, subscribe to our channel, and follow our learning community on social media. Thanks for watching, and remember, learn more at the School of Photography.